Guys, it has been a long time coming. I have waited nearly 30 years for this moment, everybody, to be sitting here on All In a Nintendo Podcast, the weekly Nintendo variety show where each and every week, no shells left unturned and no point is left unearned. We are sitting here. We're going to talk about, of course, the week in Nintendo news. We're going to talk about the Mario movie. No spoilers here for the Mario movie, by the way. I want to say that.
Seth. Hey,
Eric.
Seth. That's cool and everything, and I hope everybody's having a great weekend. But do you notice something weird about this stream right now? Is there 1, 2?
Is there
3?
Do we have a third person here with us? Is that a thing?
What?
Guys,
What's going on?
That's
I
right.
didn't think you'd see me bloody hiding under the couch here, boys. Oh, you found me red-handed. Oh.
The doors, as you could say, are open. We want to welcome to the show right now for the first time ever the handsome host of the House Mario podcast, Mr. Drew Agnew. Yay!
Hi, Drew.
Hello. Hey, Eric. Hey, Seth. Great to be here. Very excited to talk about everything. It's a great week to be invited on the show. Plenty to talk about.
Oh, plenty. I'm sure we're going to get right into it. Thank you so much for appearing. This is a big first for us, and we couldn't have thought of a better person to have us join for this entire episode, this entire Super Mario movie blowout than our friend from Down Under. So thank you very much.
Man.
No worries. I got the cushion. On the bottom.
You're gonna need it.
one.
Dude, yeah, super happy to have you on the show, man. We love the House of Mario. We love you, all of your content. You've been a supporter of All In for a while, a patron even, and we love and appreciate you. And it's been a great opportunity to have you on the show, as we've never had somebody join us for the whole dang thing before, to join us for the news roundup. We're doing it all here live tonight, youtube.com/allinpodcast. You got me, you got Eric, you got Drew. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to give our spoiler-free thoughts on the Super Mario Brothers movie. So if you're afraid of being spoiled on the movie, don't turn off your podcast app. Don't click away from YouTube, whatever you're doing. We're not going to give any spoilers. I want to say too, right here to everybody, shout out to everybody who's watching us live right now, but I do want to say, no spoilers in the chat. I'm throwing it out there right now. I have got my hand on the ban hammer. Anybody who is going to spoil anything in the chat, there will be no mercy for you. I just want you all to know that.
Now, if you don't care about spoilers, we do also have something for you.
That's right. Our patrons at patreon.com/allinpodcast will have access to a full spoiler cast that Eric and I have recorded, and anybody else is going to have to wait until next week. But if you want early access to that, patreon.com/allinpodcast is the place to go for a full spoiler-filled discussion. But that's not what we're doing tonight. Tonight, we're hanging out with Drew, and we're going to talk about some stuff. Before we get too far into it, guys, got to do something we do each and every week here on the show.
Yeah. We've already shouted out one of our patrons, but we've got a couple more that are definitely worth bringing up.
Yeah, we have a bunch of amazing friends and supporters at patreon.com/allinpodcast. Again, Drew, of course, is one of them, so thank you very much, Drew. But we also have to thank our Golden Banana and Triforce tier supporters. So starting with our Golden Banana tier supporters, we want to thank Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Shano Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka NeoPrime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Solo Something, and Bowza. And we also, of course, want to thank our Triforce tier supporters. We want to thank Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, John Datfast Cummins of the Retro Logic podcast, as well as On Topic Retro, the Globetrotting Jet Setting Nintendo Hub and Sparky, Adam Caparello of Retro Groove, as well as the Octorock 1982 YouTube channel, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy mod squad, Danielina Hosa, Dan and Luma, and the Super Mario legend himself,
the man who in spirit is with us every episode all the time, Uncle Randy.
Uncle Randy. We love you very much, Uncle Randy.
Yeah.
We love a good Uncle Randy, man. You got to have an Uncle Randy in your life to support you and have your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny because you guys like talking about Uncle Randy, then listening to the Uncle Randy episode you did on Patreon. It's like, hey, Uncle Randy's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's just a good dude. We love Uncle Randy. Uncle Randy's a great guy.
The low-key legend.
That's right, man. Okay, so Drew, before we get too deep into it, and I want to give you a chance to do this at the beginning and the end of the show, for anybody who might not know you, who might not know the House of Mario, let us know a little bit about what you do, my friend.
Okay. I'm I guess a Nintendo podcaster like these boys. I do a show called The House of Mario, and it did start off with my good friend, but life happened, and now it's become a solo show I do by myself. So, been finding my legs as far as what the show means to me and my audience since then. But I think I've gotten a little bit of a groove since then, and
Totally.
it's a bit like a talk show, I guess. I don't know. It's just a stream of my consciousness in some way. Talk about the news, what we're playing, all your typical things, and we have some fun with some other segments as well. But yeah, absolutely love doing that, and been doing some other stuff on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/idruby as well. So having a lot of fun with it, and listening to these guys has been like a big inspiration as far as what getting I guess creative with segments and things like that. You guys do a fantastic job just with like your segments and things. I absolutely love listening to all in for that, and yeah, I guess that's what I do. I'm not that good at selling myself. But...
No, I love it, and you're impressive, dude, because you're one of the few people that it's not easy to just go and by yourself go stream of consciousness for like an hour and a half. Like if you guys ever listen to $2 Hero Cast, which is our Patreon exclusive show, where I basically do that, it's not easy. It's not easy to do. It's difficult to do, and you do it every single time with a new episode of the House of Mario, like in a much more professional, measured way. And so I really admire the work that you do over there and the way that you've sort of been able to redefine your content. You've been doing it for a long time. So I definitely want people to check out the House of Mario podcast. If you somehow have not already, there are links to everything Drew in the description for you guys to show him your love and support. Because just a good boy. Just a good, solid, handsome boy, So, want to support Drew.
Yeah,
everything he does.
I'm a little bit sick at the moment, as you might be able to hear. So I haven't recorded an episode this week purely because it is hard to talk for an hour and a half straight when you're sick.
Yeah.
And that is one of the benefits of having like a couple of other co-hosts. Is like, for example, today when you guys talk, I can have a bit of a glass of water and a bit of a breathe in between. So that's good. So. This is my podcasting for the week, so absolutely stoked you guys invited me on, so thank you so much.
Nice. Well, you can treat this like an official episode of the House of Mario. Go ahead. We'll be here. We are Drew. Thank you so much for having us as dual guests on this week's House of Mario podcast. No, thank you so much.
I would offer you a drink, but I got no idea where the fridge is. Oh, this is
it's a different house. But we're still here. We're still here hanging out in this house, anyways. Okay. So again, show Drew all your love and support. We love what he does. Links to that are all available for you guys. Yeah, man. I feel like this is such a crazy, momentous event. I want to give Drew a bit of a break from talking. So, Eric, let me ask you first. What's been going on in your world this week?
Well, so much. Obviously, last weekend I spent a lot of it watching Evo Japan 2023, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later. But it was just a lot of fun to watch. All these crazy games being played at such a high level. It's so entertaining. And of course, you guys know I'm a massive super fan of fighting games anyway. So it was just a good weekend for Eric all around. I got to do that. I watched WrestleMania last week, which is also a ton of fun. It's just so much fun for me all around. But in the realm of video games, you know what? I got so much FOMO with all these fighting games recently. I was really looking forward to a new fighting game myself to play in some way, shape, or form. And it just so happened that the Breakers collection, which I pre-ordered the physical for way back in like December from Qbyte, finally came in the mail. And I've actually been playing quite a bit of the Breakers collection on my Nintendo Switch this past week. And TLDR, I really kind of dig it. I really do. The Breakers, for those who aren't aware, was a arcade fighting game from the mid-90s from Wisco Games, who, you know, did a couple things on the Neo Geo, but were never really as prolific as like the SNKs and the Capcoms of the world. But this was definitely a passion project they had. And there's definitely a couple things going against Breakers. The fact that the roster itself is only like 10 characters total across both of the games in this collection. And admittedly, a lot of the characters can come off as just discount amalgamations of more famous fighting game characters. Sho in the collection feels like the Gi and Ryu amalgamation. Character Alcyon the Third comes off as like Anakaris from Darkstalkers mixed with Dalsum from
None
Street
of these
Fighter.
words are real. None of these words are real. I'm not convinced any of them are
My
real.
fellow FGC people know what I'm talking about. But one of the things that I really do like about the game is the fact that I have a ton of nostalgia for like 90s arcade and that feeling, that general aesthetic and that feeling of games. And this game has that, absolutely. However, it's aged remarkably well. It's incredibly smooth. It's incredibly satisfying. A lot of the more modern ideas in fighting games are present here in terms of, you know, cancels. And I won't get into a lot of the weeds and stuff because most people won't really know what I'm talking about. But, you know, like I said, a lot of modern fighting game ideas are seen here. So the game is still really satisfying and really, it just feels really good to play. You go back to a lot of the old mid-90s fighting games, and they have not aged well whatsoever. So it's nice to have a game that plays really well, but still gives me that serotonin from being a mid-90s arcade fighting game. I really wish that the game did something unique. There's no real hook in the mechanics. It's all just kind of cherry picking all the best things from all the other fighting games around the time. There's nothing truly unique the game does. However, I really like the animation. The characters all feel, despite the size of the roster, the characters all feel incredibly different, incredibly varied. The game can absolutely get nuts. I actually sent you a video of something that I did in the game that just absolutely blew my mind. So you can do crazy stuff. The animation's really good. Feels really good to play. So if you're a fighting game fan, despite the small roster and despite a couple other things, I do dig it. It's only $19.99 digital on the Nintendo Switch eShop right now. It's got crossplay.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
So,
tantalizing.
So check it out. There actually, as a matter of fact, they released a demo this week. So check out the demo for Breakers on the Nintendo Switch eShop and decide if that's a game that you would like to pick up. It has the All-in Eric seal of approval.
Man, Qbyte's got that check in the mail, it sounds like, dude.
Mhm.
Drew, are you a fighting game guy?
Not apart from Smash Brothers, not really, but I do have Street Fighter 6 pre-ordered. I want to get into it.
My man.
I want to get into it more.
Mhm.
Street Fighter 6 looks awesome. So,
dude.
I've always wanted to get into it. I've bought a couple of fighting games here and there, but apart from button mashing with a couple of 2-player sessions, I haven't really sat down and really worked out the combos and that. I'm a bit younger than you guys, so I missed the arcade days, and I didn't grow up with that thing. And also a single child, so I didn't have brothers or sisters to play with, and it was mainly just me fighting CPUs and Super Smash Brothers and stuff like that. But definitely keen to give it a go now that I've got in the online era. I can actually play online and do tutorials, look up stuff on YouTube and that. So I think Street Fighter 6 will be the one that I dive into and try and work out. But, like, talking about Evo and stuff, it's just so impressive watching people at that level. It's a little bit intimidating, but it's like watching big like football players or something. And like, oh no, I'm not going to play soccer. No, that looks a little bit too hard. So you just need to start where you can and move up from
Oh,
there. But yeah, that
gosh.
sounds awesome because there's a bunch of good fighting games on Switch. Just like with Dragon Ball Z Fighters and
Yep.
all that. They bunch of stuff I want to get into. It's just sort of focus a little bit more on games with, like, I guess, a story and stuff like that at the moment, rather than just a game you can sink hours and hours and hours into and try and get good at. Because I'm not the most sophisticated player of video games. I wouldn't say my skills right up there. So I've just got to keep to myself in some ways. But
I'm right
yes,
there.
I will be diving into the genre later this year. That's for sure.
Nice.
right
Well, I hope
there
you
with
enjoy Street Fighter 6. Like I said, Breakers Collection has a demo out, so check it out. In addition to that, we were tagged by one of our amazing community members. There was a game out there that they thought that we should check out called Alien.
Oh, right. Yeah, Shy Guy tagged us in that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he saw the game and he's like, this looks right up All-In's alley. So I went ahead and checked it out. I purchased it, wanted to support the indie developer, and I played through all of it. I will say, unfortunately, not every game's going to be a home run, and Alien released this past week, and in my honest opinion, it is not a game that I would recommend. It's $6. Honestly, within the course of about an hour, I purchased it, downloaded it, beat it, and deleted it off my Nintendo Switch. The whole point is you play as this little blob, kind of looks... Yeah, a little alien. Kind of looks like a mix between the ghosts from Pac-Man and I guess like the aliens from Tales from Space.
Okay. Yeah.
And the whole mechanic, it's a one-button game, effectively. The whole mechanic is when you jump up, you can, very Downwell-esque, you can shoot eggs out the bottom of the character in projectile form, and that serves as your attack. You do. As you do. And the entire game essentially is just clearing small rooms of enemies. Every 8 rooms you get to a boss, and then you get like a little bit of text. Be like, hey, it looks like we're moving forward in the game. But it's super simple, and unfortunately, honestly, the one mechanic doesn't even really feel super satisfying. Even like the shots despawn the second they get off the screen, and each one pushes you up. So it feels like this big tug of war the entire time while you're trying to fire at enemies beneath you, and there's not really too much enemy variety. There's really not a lot of like background and environmental variety, unfortunately. So, like, I don't know. It really didn't click for me. But again, that's the nature of the beast. Not every game is going to be amazing, but we give it. I played the entire game, saw the credits, but Alien, unfortunately, is not a game that I could really wholeheartedly recommend. But it is there on the Nintendo Switch eShop if you still, for whatever reason, want to check it out. And the last thing that I'm going to shout out is the Fell Xenologue DLC that released this past week for Fire Emblem Engage Wave 4, the final part of the DLC for the expansion pass for Fire Emblem Engage, for which we did a full review back in like February at this point. Did a full review of the game, really liked it. Here we have a brand new story expansion with 6 new missions, a new story. Like everybody's doing the multiverse, I guess. So Fire Emblem's got to do a multiverse thing now too. Yeah. It starts off with you going into like an alternate universe of Lethos and kind of falling into the exact same patterns that you always kind of fall into with Fire Emblem games. And considering its post-game content, I really was hoping that they were going to take the shackles off and really let us use all of the abilities that they've given us to the full extent. Yeah. But unfortunately, in this story content, your levels are capped. You actually have considerably smaller armies, and your inventory is pre-chosen. So for this story DLC, they actually put quite a few restrictions on you, which was really disappointing for me. That plus the fact that over the course of these 6 missions, I couldn't shake the feeling of been there, done that. I didn't really feel like this ultimately added a lot to the game. The thing is, it's part of the expansion pass. It's not individually sold. So if you have the expansion pass, if you bought it to get access to the other emblems up till now, you have this story content as well. So, it's more content to play. But if you were waiting to see if this was going to sell you on the expansion pass, I don't think this would sell people. I wouldn't buy the expansion pass just for this if I were playing it. It is really cool to get access to a lot of the other emblems and see a lot of the other heroes from Fire Emblem games past, but I hate to say it. I know it's like kind of back-to-back disappointments for me, but yeah, this DLC also kind of fell a little short for me. Love the game. 100% recommend playing the game. I absolutely adored the full game, but I don't know. If you're waiting to see how good the story DLC is before you really pull the trigger on the expansion pass, I don't know. I might hold off on that. But that has been my week in video games. How about you guys? Drew, how about you?
Yeah, pass it off.
Yeah.
What's up, Drew?
I've had a good year so far. I've been I guess New Year's resolution was I need to start actually finishing more of my games rather than just touching them, moving on to the next thing. It's very easy to be distracted, especially when you're podcasting and you're like, oh look, this is on sale, this Nintendo game's out. Oh, I'm jumping over to the PlayStation now. You're just sort of just doing your own thing. So the first thing I did this year was I changed my setup. I've got a brand new sort of well, he's not new anymore, but he's still pretty new. 14-month-old son. So a lot of my life changed. So I put together a TV on a trolley that I could move around the house.
The trolley, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I can be with my wife while she's watching TV, and I can play the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch on the TV. And I really miss just sitting down playing on the TV. So my handheld time on Switch has actually gone from about 90% to probably 10%. Like it's just flipped.
Wow.
And I'm enjoying playing everything on the TV just so much. It's been really awesome. And I've been actually finishing games because of it. So it's been great actually making this setup work for me and actually get some games finished. And this week, and especially last night, I stayed up to 3 o'clock finishing Metroid Fusion. And I hadn't finished Metroid Fusion before. And typically, I've fallen off every single Metroid game I've ever touched in my life. And I think playing through Metroid Fusion, I got it finished in the, I think it was 2 sittings, but last night was the major sitting. It was a bit shorter, that's why I got through it. But ultimately, I just don't think I enjoy Metroid that much. And it was a similar thing with Dead Space, where like you're on a space station, you're getting told where to go. You got to go here to fix this. You got to go here to fix that. You got to go here to get this weapon or power up. And I don't know. I find it claustrophobic. I don't enjoy it. It stresses me out.
Yeah. I mean, claustrophobic is a good way to put it. I mean, those games are intentionally trying to make people feel that way, and some people just really don't resonate with that.
Yeah, and like I feel like Castlevania with the castle or some other setting, I just enjoy it a lot more. And it feels weird as a huge Nintendo fan. I haven't really touched a Nintendo franchise, but I'm like, I'm not too fussed about this, but especially one which is one of the biggest ones, being Metroid, as far as fan reception goes. But I'm glad that I finished it. I finally got one under my belt. I understand what it's about, and I think it's a great game. It's just not up my alley, which feels a little bit weird to say. It's against the grain a little bit, but like I said, I feel the same about Dead Space. I played that for the first time this year with the remake, and I'm like, oh man, I'm just kind of sick of being told where to go, and you're going along the way and you get these big scary things screaming at you. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, I just want to explore a nice open field.
Relax.
So,
Stupid space stations. I just want to go see a tree.
I've had a kid screaming at me all
literally.
day. I just want to chill out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
So,
Maybe just need to go some Animal Crossing or something. Just zen out.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how I felt. But early in the week, I also got another bucket list game off my list, being the Minish Cap. And the Minish Cap was always a game that I started so many times. I started it on an emulator. I started it on 3DS when it came out for the ambassadors, and I always fell off. I think it's just like when it's an older game being re-released like that, it's just like you sort of dabble in it, but then you don't really commit to it because you're thinking about the brand new stuff coming out around it. But I focus on these two Game Boy Advance games because myself and Josh from Nintendvania were starting up a project where we're going through Game Boy Advance games, and we're going to be recording that soon. So I had a bit of a deadline to help me sort of make sure we're going to get it done, which helps a lot. So coming out of the Minish Cap, love the Minish Cap. I thought it was absolutely a tremendous Zelda game, and it's another game on Game Boy Advance that is relatively short in some ways.
Yeah.
It's not that short. It's about 14, 13 hours or so. But I thought the dungeons were absolutely fantastic, especially the last two. And the way it uses items was fantastic because other games, especially like Twilight Princess, you use the item in the dungeon, but then you don't go back and use it in the overworld and stuff. But all the items in this, you used it like the Gust Jar and the Claws, and that you're all using it for exploration in the overworld. And the game is just so dense. It's small, but there's so many secrets you unlock. You talk to NPCs with kinstones.
I was going to ask how
match
you
up
felt
the
about
right-
kinstones, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's fun when you're going along. You like talk to somebody, say, "Do I have your half the kinstone?" Yes. Open up a secret, go and find it. But as far as like, all right, this game is awesome, I'm going to 100% it. That's when it will become a problem.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And I have looked up videos of like, the completionist and people actually going for the 100%. I'm absolutely not. Like that is something I'm not about.
I'm good.
And I do feel like in Zelda games, they don't really encourage you to do the 100% because they don't do like a save after the final boss. So like you beat the game, like roll the credits, and then like you go back to your save file and it's just, it's just in front of the temple again. It's like, oh. And I always found that frustrating about Zelda games. When I first finished my first Zelda game, I was like, why didn't it save afterwards? Like, why isn't there a post game like, Pokemon or whatever? You go back to your house and you can go and do what you want. I find that a little bit frustrating about Zelda games, but especially in Breath of the Wild, it's like you never beat Ganon. Like you beat him, but then he's back.
Well, I mean, also in Breath of the Wild, you're trying to 100% it. It's like counterintuitive because like you want 100% it. Hope you like Koroks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, no. Well,
Get some poop.
did you guys ever do the Koroks or the Kinstones or anything?
No, I never did the Kinstones. I never did. I got up to, I think, 300 Koroks, and I was like, I've got to be getting close. And then I actually looked up how many there were, and I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah, I did. I don't think I ever did the Kinstones, but I did do the Koroks. Yeah. And got my golden poo. Yeah. So,
nice, man.
I have that going for me.
Go to your wife. Look, honey, I got the golden poo in my video games.
Very proud. That's why she married me.
A legend.
Yeah. That's why she married me, because I got the golden poo.
That's what you bent the knee and you held the switch out with the poo in your inventory. You're like, oh my god, this is wonderful.
What papers are you serving me with right now? What is...
Oh my god!
Insanity water papers, yeah.
I love the I love the throwing it back to the GBA, man. I love it.
Spending a lot of time on that GBA NSO this week. I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the Game Boy Advance, one of my favorite systems. I got so much nostalgia for it. But that was my first ever system. Was the Game Boy Advance SP. Got it when I was 9 years old, and I only had very limited amount of games for it. It was all Pokemon, apart from Mario World, Digimon. What was it called? Digimon Battle Spirits. Simpsons Road Rage.
Yeah, dude.
And like a couple of other ones I borrowed from friends, but it was a very limited set of games because it took forever to save up just for the Pokemon games, let alone just off the whim buying other things. I think the only game that I was like, I'm going to give this a go was Mario World, and that changed everything as far as my trajectory and what I love in video games was. So it's great being able to go back to past games. I've been asking for Game Boy Advance games on Switch for a long time, so I better actually send Nintendo the data that I'm using it.
Yeah.
And so they can keep putting more stuff on. So it's been great that I've been able to tick those off. And another Switch game I've been playing that you guys covered great last week, and I really enjoyed your review discussion for Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. I think I'm a little bit more high on it than you guys. I this is my first Bayonetta game I've finished, so I don't go into
Okay.
it with the lore expectations of Seth or
That's good.
you, Eric. But I I really enjoyed it, and I found
Nice.
it great from art style and presentation. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I actually I really like the mechanics as well. I feel like it does take a bit getting used to using the different characters with each stick. But once you get used to it, you get in like a good rhythm, and I felt it was quite fun, especially towards the end of the game. Once you've got all the abilities, you've got all the, your skill tree pretty much maxed out. I really quite liked it, and I like how the story turned out too. And it'll be interesting to play through the other 3 games and find out what's so offensive to Seth about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh man, yeah.
I'm glad you like it so much, man. Glad you're having a good time with it. You getting some of those costumes and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like you guys in your review discussion mentioned, like I guess it might be similar to what I was saying in Minish Cap, but if you're going into the overworld to go and explore and get all the secrets, it's like nah, that's a little bit too cumbersome. And there was a moment before I realized you could travel between like different camps.
Yeah.
So I think I went looking for a secret. It took me down a slide, put me on the other side of the map. I'm like, oh god. So trying to get back to where I was going to go. I was like, all right,
yeah.
How do I get back there? I'm like, oh wait, I can fast travel. Thank God for that. But there was maybe like a 15-minute section where I'm like, oh God, looking at the map and it makes no sense. I'm like,
No, yeah.
And I get it. Like Cereza's lost in the woods, and it's not like she has like a GPS where she can just go, oh well, I'll just follow this. Like I guess
Cereza and the lost Tom.
Cereza is lost, but don't worry, she's got a great mobile app and she's got 5G.
She's
service.
all good.
Exactly.
Don't worry about anything. But yeah, and the last thing I just want to touch on that is something that I've really enjoyed over the past few months is the Atelier Ryza trilogy. I've fallen in love with this RPG series, and I bought the games on sale a long time ago, and I really sort of enjoyed what I played, but I fell off the first game. But the third game came out a couple of weeks ago, so I've made sure that I finished Atelier Ryza and Atelier Ryza 2 before the first 2. I was very dedicated to that cause, and I made it happen. And I'm very proud of myself, finishing a couple of JRPGs.
Yeah.
And they're not the longest. They're not the longest games. They're about 30 so hours each game. So it's not like you're finishing 2 Persona 5 games in one
God, yeah.
each month or whatever. But I absolutely love this series. It's a series all about crafting, which is something that I typically I'm not super wild about necessarily. Games like Animal Crossing and Pokemon and that have implemented crafting systems, very light crafting systems into their games. And I found Animal Crossing, thinking about it now, I really actually hate the crafting. I hate how everything breaks. You just want to sit there. You just want to sit there for a night and throw the fishing rod out. And that's what I did a lot of times in the Animal Crossing games. But now it's like the breaks. You got to go back and craft another one. It's like, oh, whatever. But in Atelier Ryza, it's really great how they implement it. So you've got your leveling up system, like your RPG, but you're very much progressing in the story by getting different gathering items. You're going back to your atelier, and you're crafting items, and you're making like your armor, your swords, like every bit of your gear you are making yourself. And there's so much nuance to your traits and everything you can put into it. And I'm very basic. I just like, oh, yep, that looks good. The stats line up well. I'll do that. But I'm looking online to what people are doing. Like they're min-maxing every section of every armor, just going all out. And I'm very much just like, oh, I guess that'll do. That'll Even now that I'm on the third game, I'm not like super good at it necessarily. But I'm mainly there for like the story and the character interactions, because like, the story is pretty basic. There is like, I guess a bad force out there that you've got to take down, but it's about like the slice of life interactions along the way with all the characters and how the series has built up over the past 2 games. We've now got a party of like 11 characters that I think there's about 3 that we don't know. And all the rest we've grown up along with them. And the first game in particular, it's a coming of age story about like these 4 people. And Ryza, she's a farmer who wants to go out and venture and become a like an alchemist. And when that game rolled credits, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I related so much. You know,
Yeah, I
I
was
am
gonna
from a
say.
farming family. I grew up on a farm,
Nice.
and I was like, man, this game actually hit me in a very specific way, which I was not expecting. So that's the series I really, really love. And Eric, it sounds like you gave a little fairy clap there. Did this is a series you've played, is it?
Well, I would like to. There's a lot of RPGs out there that I would like to experience. I'm a huge fan of like Nippon Ichi and Atlas, who make a lot of these games. Rhapsody is coming out soon, and I want to check that out. Mostly, I was given the fairy clap because Atelier Ryza 3 specifically got us quite a few points in our fantasy draft against our heated rivals, the Nintendo pals. So, but yeah, it is another game. We're just so saturated. We're so spoiled with JRPG specifically on the Nintendo Switch that it can be too much. There's so many out there that I say I want to. I love JRPGs. I really do. The problem is even the short ones, like you said, can be around 25, 30 hours. And that's just not a genre that I can play every one of. But I mean, I respect your opinion. So I might have to move that up to the top of my queue and check that out. I mean, I owe them that much for the points they've given us.
You just go and buy a copy. Like, thank you for the points.
Exactly.
Appreciate it.
Exactly.
It's funny. It is funny listening to the fantasy drafts, just like across the board. Just people are like, what is this game? And like on the carpool gaming one, like Sean Capri picked it for the one I was listening to, and he's like, he can't even pronounce it, but I'm like, dude, that's gonna get you points. That's gonna get you points. That's gonna get you a solid 80. Like that's gonna do you well.
It did well. I'll take it.
yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Literally, the only reason I even know what it is because of like you and Ryan from Carpool. Only reason I even know it exists. So
yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that you love it so much, man.
Out there doing God's work. I will say, if you want to give the third one a go, you probably can just jump straight into it, like mechanically and just everything. Like it will be the best game. They've grown because Atelier Ryza 1 came out 2019, and I'd say that the Atelier series went from a B grade series to an A grade. Like it took the next step up in money, production, mechanics, everything. So it just progressed just steadily from there, and it isn't like an annual series as well. So I'd say that you can start at number 3, but just story-wise, there's just so much just nuance between the characters that you'll be missing. And I think that is my favorite aspect of the game. But if you just want like a good, fun, flashy RPG with some crafting and stuff, go and give it a look at. It's I think the developers definitely earned people's support, and it's a series that I look at, especially since it's annual, and you know it looks great on Switch. It runs well on Switch, and I sort of look at Pokemon. I'm like, man, this game doesn't even sell like a million copies, and they was stoked that the first 2 games sold 500,000 like together. I sort of look at some other series. I'm like, man, take it, please. Anyway,
man,
nice.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much for that insight, man.
Yeah,
that's why we love having people like you on the show.
Well, look, I'll be brief, you guys. I'm glad you guys have been playing games because I haven't. I'm glad I have you guys to carry me this week.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, Seth.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better this week. But anybody who's been listening to the show past like week and a half, I've just been like out. Like I just haven't been able to play really much of anything. And the only thing I've really played this week, I streamed a little bit of Diablo 2 Resurrected here on the channel. I streamed that just in a sick fugue state for like 3.5 hours. And that's like literally it. I think that's literally that and a little bit of Lunark, which I'm still playing. I think I'm getting close to the end of Lunark, which I covered a little bit last week. That's the new kind of classic style Prince of Persia, Another World style platformer from WayForward and a solo developer, WayForward published, that I really like. I like it quite a lot. I'm close to finishing it. I'm hoping to finish it soon, and then just Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm still playing. I'm like, you guys are playing all this cool stuff. I'm like, I'm still just doing the same thing I've been doing. So nothing new to report there.
Man, but from last weekend between Evo and WrestleMania and everything, you mentioned that you streamed. I totally forgot that I streamed What the Golf last Sunday.
Oh yeah, you did.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was actually a lot of fun. I'm probably going to do part 2 this Sunday, but yeah, What the Golf is that even before
That was fun to watch.
even before I started streaming, the first time I played the demo for What the Golf, I was like, I've got to stream this game if I ever start streaming. And sure enough, I wound up getting the physical and like all my streaming stuff within the same time frame. So I was like, I'm absolutely streaming this. And we just had a ton of fun. God, that game is bonkers. And I love it. If you haven't played What the Golf, that is already, I'm probably a quarter of the way through the game. It already gets the full all-in recommendation. That game is stupid and crazy and wonderful.
Yeah, that
The golf game for people who hate golf.
That's not an inaccurate way to describe it.
There was a point where I think you were a soccer ball on the back of a rolling chair, like having to knock over hot dog carts or something like that.
It was bonkers. I was literally playing Flappy Bird at one point.
Yeah.
And,
oh yeah, there was a
great.
Mario, like a set of Mario levels. Like it was wild.
It's so good. What the Golf is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to stream part 2 this weekend.
Nice. Well, thanks guys for playing games in my stead. I appreciate it. Guys,
it's rarity for you. You're usually smashing them out, so you got to take a break every now and again.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, it's been busy, been sick, but hopefully get some time to play some more games this weekend. But gentlemen, we have got some news to get into. What do you say we hit some of these news stories?
We do have some news to get into. Low key, go figure, more than just the Super Mario Brothers movie happened this week. A couple of fairly notable things happened within the world of Nintendo. So let's talk about it.
Eric, I feel like I've got to just give you the floor because Evo Japan, as we've already sort of alluded to, happened last weekend.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of the announcements from Evo Japan.
Okay, so it wasn't like jam-packed full of announcements, but there were definitely some notable things. They announced 2 new characters for Tekken 8. Cool. I really want to play Tekken 8. It looks fantastic. But as far as the Nintendo side of things goes, after the end of the King of Fighters 15 tournament, SNK dropped basically a full-on state of the company update about everything that they were working on. And one thing in particular has Eric extremely excited in a move that very much harkens back to last year when Capcom basically said, hey, Nintendo players, you're not going to get Street Fighter 6, so here's the Capcom Fighting Collection instead. SNK, similarly, because we are not getting King of Fighters 15 on the Nintendo Switch, is instead releasing King of Fighters 13 Global Match. The date has not been announced, but they are doing a beta this summer, and I am unreasonably excited for this because King of Fighters 13 is, many people consider it a high point, the high point prior to King of Fighters 15. It is one of the smoothest fighting games you will ever play. It is one of the best looking sprite-based games ever made, bar none. Honestly, Seth, while I'm talking, just feel free to Google some screenshots. The game is absolutely stunning to look at. It doesn't have necessarily a mammoth cast, but it was absolutely a hidden gem on the PlayStation 3 when it released back in 2010, and I am so happy to see it coming back with rollback netcode here in 2023. Yes, it feels like a consolation prize for not getting King of Fighters 15, but man, I am so incredibly stoked for the release of King of Fighters 13 Global Match. This was definitely a game that deserves a new lease on life. It is more than different enough from KOF 15 to stand on its own 2 feet. I could legitimately see it maybe not main staging at Evo, but having a really good sized side tournament at Evo. Just adding the rollback netcode, if that's the only thing they do, that alone is going to make this a must-own fighting game on the Nintendo Switch. So like I said, King of Fighters 13 Global Match. They haven't announced a date yet, but the open beta is coming this summer. Again, I'm unreasonably excited for this. I cannot wait. I've actually been watching KOF 13 videos all week, just preparing myself. It's a 13-year-old fighting game, and a lot of people may be of the mindset that, oh, it's old and we're basically just getting secondhand games, hand-me-downs or whatever. Guys, this is still a fantastic title. We're getting the definitive version of it. In my mind, this is more than a good enough consolation prize for Nintendo Switch owners for not getting KOF 13. I cannot wait. And if you're a fighting game fan on the Nintendo Switch, this should be at the top of your radar.
Love it.
In addition to that, they have confirmed that the new Galros/Fatal Fury game coming from SNK is, quote, furiously in development. They actually said furiously in development in the trailer. It has not yet been deconfirmed for Switch, and the new Samurai Showdown game did release on Switch with all the DLC, so there is a chance that this game, this new Galro, this new Fatal Fury game, comes to the Nintendo Switch. So until they deconfirm it, I am more than happy to keep talking about it. But yes, they said that new game is currently furiously in development. Unfortunately, we are still not getting... Nintendo Switch owners are still not getting the rollback netcode for Samurai Showdown. It is coming to everything else, but unfortunately that update is skipping the Nintendo Switch. But between the new Fatal Fury / Galro, between KOF 13 Global Match, it was still more than enough to get me drooling. So Eric is happy.
Nice, man. I love it.
That and upcoming this next week, just while we're talking about fighting games momentarily, there is also an indie fighting game fest coming up this next week from April 13th through the 17th. Looks to be low-key, but you guys know I'm going to be checking it out. If there's anything of note coming to the Nintendo Switch, I will be more than happy to report on that next week. So be on the lookout for that.
Nice. I love it, man. It's always nice to have your perspective on the fighting game stuff, because it's gibberish to me. I've got no clue what's going on.
You only hear about FADCs and cancels and DPs and footsies. You only hear me talk about that?
You lost me. I had no clue.
Footsies.
Yeah, you're talking about footsies. I was like, did this just get a little flirty up in here? We're playing footsies? What's going on?
That's legitimate fighting game jargon. It's as weird as it sounds.
Man, we need
all
Eric's
the sweaty boys in the tournament.
Yeah. It's getting a little hot over here.
We're really close with each other in the FGC.
I can see that. I feel like we need like a dedicated Eric fighting game podcast or something like that.
I could do it. I can absolutely do that. There's fighting games out there I could legit write books on.
Yeah.
I may actually pitch an MK2 book to Boss Fight Books.
You should. That'd be awesome. Slide into Gabe's DMs there.
I should.
Nice. Well, speaking of fighting games, Eric, it was revealed on Wednesday that Capcom and Legendary Entertainment are co-producing a new live-action Street Fighter movie. And that's pretty exciting. This is another sort of return to form. We haven't had a live-action Street Fighter movie in some 30 years, I feel like.
Well, we got the Legend of Chun-Li with Kristen Kruk from.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
Yeah. I forgot about that. That's right.
That came out around the same time as like Dragon Ball Evolution. That entire time period in Western video game and anime-based Western live-action adaptations that we have hermetically sealed off from all of our collective memories. But yeah, this should, by all accounts, be better than The Legend of Chun-Li. I don't know by how much. We literally know nothing aside from the fact that Street Fighter has confirmed they are co-producing the movie alongside Legendary Entertainment, which have produced some very high-budget, very notable movies within the past few years. And, I mean, especially with incredibly notable video game adaptations already flooding the market this year. I mean, you and I have already talked about there's gold in them Thar Hills. Yep. So if it's done well, I know that you could argue that boils down to anything in life, but if it's done well, then it could be a brand new franchise. It could be a whole series. And I'd be here for it. I like movies. I like fighting games. Sign me up. I still can't help but be cautiously optimistic, but I'm going to choose to be optimistic.
Yeah, man. You know what? To Drew's point earlier about Street Fighter 6, that's what I hope they're doing with this movie.
Very well could be.
I want a Street Fighter, like that visual style with Street Fighter 6, like that kind of poppy,
like that graffiti
colorful
style.
Yeah, that's what I want.
I could see that.
Yeah, give me that.
But we're probably going to have to wait a while for that one. But I don't know. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, I'll be keen to watch it. I don't know if I'll be going to the cinema to see it because was it Mortal
Midnight
Kombat and
launch?
stuff. I didn't even. Yeah, I haven't watched that one or anything, but yeah, I hope it turns out well because we're seeing video game adaptations can mean good things for the series if they actually put some love into it and actually know what the source material is. Because I don't know, I was looking forward to the Halo series too, but I'm like, what have they done?
Yeah.
So we know what it can look like if it turns out poorly, and we can look back at the 80s and 90s renditions of some video game adaptations back then too, and sort of shake our head as well. But yeah, hopefully it turns out well. I haven't really seen too much on it apart from like the poster. I don't know if there's much else out for it, but yeah, hopefully it turns out well. The Street Fighter is a great series. It's important. It's one of Capcom's most important series, and we know how they treated Monster Hunter when it came to the theaters. So don't have very high expectations, but we'll see.
That's a fair point. That is a very recent high budget Capcom adaptation, so it's not unfair to look back on that as the potential for this movie. But Monster Hunter again kind of came and went with all the pomp and circumstance of a wet gas passing. But I still really hope some of the, like, I don't know if you guys have seen the animated Street Fighter movies, but there's some really good stuff in there. Just live action hasn't really been the best for Ryu and Ken and the rest, outside of Guile or Jean-Claude Van Damme pretending to be an American Air Force colonel, and Kylie Minogue, an Australian pop star, pretending to be a British secret agent. So,
well, look, man, we got that coming, and we actually have another video game movie related story here regarding the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which has been kind of in the talks for a long time. I think we've seen production shots of it here and there. But Jason, is it Blumhouse?
Jason Blum, yeah, from Blumhouse,
yeah. That dude, they're the production company that's tackling the FNAF movie, and he revealed this past week that not only is the movie still happening, it's coming this year on October 27th, of course, just in time for Halloween. So that should be exciting.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, I think at this point, the talking point around the movie is, what is the level of excitement for this movie? Has it been too long? Because FNAF absolutely had its moment in pop culture history. It was the game everybody was streaming. You couldn't get away from Five Nights at Freddy's for, it felt like, a couple years, but it does really feel like that moment has well and truly passed. So I think that's a fair conversation to have around this movie is, has the movie's time passed? Have they really lost that launch window of really capitalizing on the potential of this franchise, or should we be expecting a flop?
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up, because like if it's like a young demographic, like those kids that were 5 when they were enjoying the game, they might be 10 years old now, or just like a lot older and not into it, so they might have missed their mark. But probably not. Like, it was that big, they probably at least have still a bit of an audience. But I don't really know much about Five Nights at Freddy's. I watched some videos on YouTube and some like people on YouTube that I really like their covers and stuff. They did some was it Nate Wants to Battle and stuff? Did a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's songs. I'm like, oh, this sounds really good. I got no idea what he's singing about, but it's a good metal song at least. So that's kind of my exposure to it. But Yeah, I hope it turns out well once again. Hope the kids enjoy seeing their scary bears on the big screen.
I still want to see it. I'm still fascinated by the lore of it. People like Markiplier really kind of made their name on Five Nights at Freddy's. It felt like the game theorists essentially became a Five Nights at Freddy's channel for a couple of years.
You don't bring that up on this channel, Eric. You don't bring up the game theorists in this channel, all right? I get called Diet Game Theory way too much, all right?
Diet Game Theory. Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah. The amount of times I've been compared to game theory, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. All right.
I don't know, but I mean, well, what about you, Seth? I'm still kind of excited for it. Are you?
I'm not. You know, I had my like little Five Nights at Freddy's like stint. I think I feel like I feel like a lot of people have like had their brushes with it. Like I had like one night where I kind of fell down the rabbit hole on it. Lachlan in the chat, Seth has been triggered. That's right. I you know, I kind of fell down the rabbit hole. I was like mildly interested in like the bite of 87 and the and this kind of junk. You know, I was getting into that or whatever for a little bit, but you know, I hope that this is mostly, especially, you know, we're gonna talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie a lot tonight, and like, I hope that somebody has the way that made me feel. I hope other people can feel that way. And if it is about Five Nights at Freddy's, then God bless you. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know? So if you like it, I love it, is what I'll say.
Nice. I do think Blumhouse is the right studio to tackle that movie.
Yes.
I do think that.
I agree. Yeah.
We're 100% going to see like Markiplier or one of these big YouTubers in this movie, aren't we? We're going to
you're probably right.
Cameo somewhere.
Yeah, you're probably exactly right about that. That's a great call. Yeah, I'm going to be on the lookout for that now. I'll be like, there he is.
Yeah, it's Markiplier in the background. Oh, we're going to Markiplier.
Dude, I went to PAX South one year and Markiplier was there. You would have thought the Beatles were there. Like the amount of people that were lined up to see that dude, it was absurd. By far the most, like the biggest like autograph line, the screaming like girls and stuff. It was nuts. I mean, it was like a rock star was there. It was crazy, you know? So anyway.
Any hooser.
I can't see here in the chat makes a good point. If they're targeting kids, I hope it's on the level of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie. Yeah, the tone of it is going to be interesting. It can't be like some rated R gory romp, right? So,
well, I mean, the games themselves can actually be. I mean, there's no gore or blood or anything. Yeah, they are disturbing. Yeah, they can actually be fairly. I don't want to say hardcore, but they can be fairly extreme for younger audiences. It'll be interesting to see the way they take it, because you know it's not going to stop with a jump scare. You know, there's going to be a scene after that in the movies. It'll be interesting to see how they tackle the scene after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's make a quick little pit stop here with some news regarding the Super Mario Brothers movie. Already breaking records, folks. It has made just in the first day, it made $66.4 million globally, became the biggest animation launch in history on launch day in 11 different markets. I've seen a bunch of different projections over the past few days, anywhere from it's going to make $225 million over opening weekend.
I heard that, yeah.
Up to like $300+ million over opening weekend. So who knows? And the movie is going to continue over the course of the month to open in other major markets like Japan. So, you know, TLDR, I just wanted to give the movie its flowers in terms of sales. Like, it's doing really well. So
Yeah, and I expect that. There were a lot of people, a lot of projections out there. I saw the Mario Brothers movie is going to be the movie that truly gets people back to theaters in this post-COVID world. And obviously, we're starting to see movies and theaters now do a lot more promotional stuff. Obviously, there's a ton of items, you know, like the tins and the cups and a lot of collector's items that you're able to get in conjunction with the movie that people are already eBaying for like $50-$60 now. But, you know, I had to get my tin. But yeah, I can't wait for it. I really think this movie is going to wind up doing $500 million. I really see that at least.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think it'll cross
Just
a billion.
crazy.
I think it'll cross a billion. I do think that. We'll see. Oh my goodness, guys. Well, we have got a little bit of news on the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. Maybe this is something you might have your eye on, Drew. When it comes to JRPGs, these finally have got a release date. They're coming to Nintendo Switch on April 19th, and they're bringing with them some new quality of life improvements over their initial PC and mobile releases, such as a new option for fonts, which is something that people playing those initial releases were like super up in arms about. So they're fixing that. You're going to have the ability to swap between the remastered and original soundtracks, which I appreciate. And then like some quality of life stuff, like you can turn off random encounters and you can boost your party's experience gain by up to 4 times, which is cool. And Drew, I've heard you talk about this on the House of Mario before. You're looking forward to these, right?
Yeah, I haven't played the Final Fantasy like the original game, so having them Switch would be a great way to play them. I bought I think 1 and 2 on phone just to try and play it there in between things, but I'm just not drawn to my phone to play a game, even though I've got Apple Arcade and I've bought stuff like Dead Cells and a bunch of like great games. I just don't really want to play them on my phone. It's just a little bit unfortunate, I guess, but super excited for these. I was looking on the eShop. The screenshots look amazing on the OLED Switch. They just pop so much. It looks awesome, and you better bloody believe me, I'm turning up that experience for Don't you worry about that. I'll be cranking up those quality of life features as much as possible, especially the like the earlier games, because they are very much just like, hey, here's the dopamine hit with the numbers, and here's the big bad guy, and you will beat him. Congratulations. Like, you know, the first couple of games I'd say would be like that. I haven't played them, so I can't say that. I know I might be offending some people out there, but I'd like just to get through them. So having these features would be great. So looking forward to playing through these. And I think it's like $107 over here for the 6 games.
Yeah.
So I think it works out, at least in our currency, that you get like the first 2 games for free, essentially, if you get the bundle.
Yeah.
And that's roughly how the math works out. So yeah, really keen for this. I know like the physical pre-orders was a bit of a disaster. For us here, we would have to get it through Play Asia, and we couldn't get a local copy. And I don't know, just download your games. Don't be silly. Come on, just download them.
That's where I'm at with it. With this one, that's where I'm at, because they rubbed me so like that. I did not like the way they handled that physical release at all. So I'm probably honestly I'm gonna buy like. I'm actually really interested to play Final Fantasy 4 and 5. I've not played them before, but I played through those soundtracks in Theater Rhythm, and I was like, these are really underrated soundtracks for Final Fantasy 4 and 5. And it makes me want to play the full game. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to grab 4, 5, and 6. And FF6 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like that's such a special game to me. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be weird, you know, once those come in, because I just happened to be awake when that stupid thing went live. The witching hour. So I went ahead and pre-ordered mine. So when that comes in, it just kind of hit me this past week when they released that trailer for the Pixel remasters. Like, I'm going to own Final Fantasy 1 through 9 currently on the Nintendo Switch, and you can get Final Fantasy X, you can get Final Fantasy 10, you can get Final Fantasy 10-2. Yeah. So that's just kind of nuts to me. But 12 too. The Zodiac Age.
Even 15 Pocket Edition is on Switch.
15.
Yeah.
So
and Crystal Chronicles. Matter of fact, we did a review of that a long time ago back on the show. But I'm super excited for these two. They don't look necessarily quite as good as some of like the HD 2D remakes that we've seen on the Switch in recent years. But still, I mean, it's I would say preferable to playing the original versions at the very least. Having widescreen is pretty. I like widescreen.
That's what you want. Yeah. That's what you want, isn't it? For sure.
But yeah, I was surprised when they finally released the date that it was so soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is kind of funny, isn't it? That's, I mean, 19th. I mean, that's less than 2 weeks out. So we're getting there, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just to the point where, okay, we're finally good. Okay, let's just drop them in 2 weeks. Okay, we're good. Let's just get these out there. It does feel almost like they're just trying to get them out as soon as possible now that they've finished the ports. So I'm hoping that doesn't bode negatively for the releases, but we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Looking forward to
Mhm.
grabbing some of these. But next story here, this is kind of a cool little story. Devolver Digital, the kind of now famous indie publisher, has officially acquired Doinksoft, the developer behind Gato Roboto, Demon Throttle, and the upcoming Gunbrella, all of which were previously published by Devolver. My first thought seeing this, first of all, congratulations, Doinksoft. Hopefully this is a, fruitful thing for them. They obviously been working with Devolver for a long time. But my first thought was, oh, I guess Devolver's feeling pretty good about Gunbrella. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Well, they've been working with Doinksoft for so long. At this point, it's just really is like, are you going to put a ring on it or not? Essentially,
Yeah.
And this is one of the most obvious acquisitions for Devolve that I can think of. Why not? At this point, just fully put all of Devolver's resources behind a studio that they knew they were going to continue a long-term relationship with anyway. Again, this, for me, I'm glad for Doinksoft. I think it's going to be a good thing all around. But for me, this just feels like the boyfriend girlfriend couple that you've known since high school that finally got married, and you're like, oh, you guys finally made it official. Cool.
Shut up and kiss already. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like in the press release how they said that they're now Devolver's problem. I like how they worded it like that.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah. Good
no,
for
it's,
them.
it shows that they've got good confidence in Gunbrella. I'm looking forward to that game. That looked awesome in the Nintendo Direct, and
Yeah.
it was at PAX Australia last year as well at the Devolver booth, and everybody came away from it being like, this game is going to be great. Including
Nice.
Shuhei Yoshida. He was walking around the show floor and he quite enjoyed it too, according to
Oh,
his Twitter.
snap.
So,
Oh,
Nice.
snap. That's awesome.
Do you play a lot of Doinksoft games? Drew, have you played Gato Roboto? Have you played Demon Throttle?
no, I haven't really. I do like to touch Devolver Digital games when I can, but I think I got the Gato Roboto on sale for like
Mhm.
Mhm.
real cheap. So I've got it on my Switch. And I need to play it. I know it's
You
only
might
short
dig that.
too, so
It is. It's like
yeah.
5 hours.
I think I
maybe.
will dig it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd like it. It's because it's a Metroidvania, but it's not got any of that like stress. It's very like casual.
It's not in a space station, so I think you'll be okay.
Oh
It's
yes,
got-
okay.
Cats, you know what I mean? So
Does have cats. Yeah.
I think that's good. Well, we talked about the NSO expansion pass, the GBA app specifically, but there's an exciting addition coming to the N64 app, guys. In just a few days at this point, on April 12th, we are finally getting Pokemon Stadium. Oh my gosh. Drew, tell me about Pokemon Stadium, dude. I know you're a big Pokemon guy.
Yeah, so this was announced like, was it September in the Nintendo
Yeah, in
Direct?
the
So it's kind
Direct.
of like, at this point, it's a little bit like, oh, all right, finally. Like, it was exciting when they announced that it was coming. Oh, great. But I don't know, 5 months later, it's lost its steam a little bit. It's all right, it's finally here. All right, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to playing it. It's this was a game I never had a Nintendo 64 when I was a kid. It was always going over to my friends' places, and Pokemon Stadium was always at the top of that list, doing the rental battles, mini games, all of that. And I'm looking forward to going through like the more single player based content with like the gym leader challenge. I'm looking forward to giving that a go as a seasoned player, now 28 years old. Can he take on the gym leaders in Kanto? Who knows? Who knows if he can become a Pokemon master? But it'll be interesting whether I get much mileage out the mini games and the multiplayer stuff with the online, because in my household, I'm not going to be like, hey, honey, would you like to do a rental battle with me? She's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She's not a gamer. So, yeah, I'm keen to give it a go. It would have been great if we could have got some, I guess, Pokemon Game Boy functionality with it to
Yeah.
really sort of get use out of the game. But you could imagine that would be a lot of work on Nintendo and the Pokemon company's behalf. And we all know that they don't want to do too much work when it comes to selling and stuff.
Fair.
The Pokemon company. So, yeah, it didn't happen. If you ever have a dream when it comes to a Pokemon game, just don't think about it.
Just
too
get
much
rid of
because
it.
won't happen.
I'm still waiting on Detective Pikachu. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, you got
Well-
Pokemon Sleep. They got you that, mate. That's.
I don't know. They could do something with Pokemon Home. They could add some type of functionality. Added functionality to NSO games is not something that would be a new thing. They have added functionality to a couple NSO games in the past, and obviously we've played, like Seth and I have played GoldenEye online together, which I still can't believe we can do in the year 2023. But I personally, maybe this is just my positive tinge. Maybe this is just me being a hopeful idiot. But I was like, I couldn't imagine that they were going to release these if they didn't at least have an inkling of doing something, adding some type of functionality with Pokemon Home, or subsequently adding maybe the Game Boy Pokemon games to the Game Boy NSO and adding some type of cross-play functionality there. Again, maybe that's just a pipe dream. Maybe that's just me being a hopeful idiot, but it's something they could do in the future.
Yeah. I'd imagine just from a development standpoint, it'll be hard to do the interaction between like that app and the app with all of these games and just like the one ROM file within that app.
Mhm.
I'd imagine that would be quite difficult. So I don't know how they'll go about doing that, but I don't know. It'd be cool if they did that one day. But Eric, I care about you, mate. I don't want you just sitting at your microphone just waiting to record a podcast to be super excited about the Pokemon Home functionality and Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. So just look after yourself, man. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but if it happens, I'll be sure to
Yeah, you heard it here first.
send you a tweet being like, "It worked, it happened."
Hey.
Put it out there.
No, I'll get you to put some other good energy into the ether. See if anything else that I want to happen happens.
Yeah. Are there any games you'd love to see come to the NSO?
Oh, Super Smash Brothers! I want that. That's probably the big game that I'm still waiting for.
Yeah.
That we haven't got an announcement or any inkling for. But apart from that, we got a lot of them. And when it comes to Nintendo 64, I don't have I didn't really dive into like the hidden gems section of the system too much. But like a lot of the mainstays are there. Yeah, it's just Smash Brothers that we haven't got any sort of word on, and that makes a lot of sense. But maybe they're a little bit too worried. It's a little bit too fast in that for how they've got their online setup. Because typically like Mario Kart and obviously Pokemon Stadium being turn-based and stuff, that a little bit more lenient when it comes to the inputs and that. But can it handle like a full-on fighting game online? Not sure, but I just want to play it by myself anyway. Just sit there on CPUs and do whatever.
Unlock Ness and Jigglypuff, and it's like just get that little bit of happiness boost, like from the nostalgia back in 2000, 1999.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So yeah,
I just
Smash Brothers. That's the one I'm still looking forward to.
Nice.
I'm a little surprised that hasn't happened yet. Hopefully that's coming. For me at Pokemon Stadium, I literally am just like, I just want to play those mini games. Like those mini games are so good.
Yeah.
I love those mini games, man. So I'm looking forward to that.
Do you have a crew of people you can like bring around your TV and play with in person, or
not really? That would require having friends, Drew, and that all my friends are online.
I've got the same problem.
Yeah, all my friends live online. They all live in the internet land. But I mean, look, what's nice is these things can be played online, so we could all link up and play these things together.
Yeah, you're looking at my crew.
Yeah.
We just need to make an effort. That's the thing. Like I grew up with like poor internet, so it was never a thing to be like jump online and play games. And my good friend Bryce, he grew up in town and he had great internet, and he plays MMOs his whole life and he's always online. But me, I never even think it as a possibility to turn on a console and be like, let's jump on with the boys and have a noise session. Like it's just something that doesn't come to my mind. But
just send out a mass text like squat up,
Squat up, play some Clefairy says. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, it does take an effort to actually make a time, and it's great when say you guys or Sean from Carpool or whoever's like, all right, we're doing this. Meet me at this time. That actually works out quite well for me because I'm like, all right, yep, I see it, the notification on YouTube or whatever, and oh shit, all right, jump on the Switch and play some games. But when it comes especially with the kid now too. Like it's a little bit harder.
For sure.
Keen to should make some use out of the Nintendo 64 games online. So the idea of Mario Kart online, Mario Kart 64 online, that was amazing, and I just haven't even tried it.
Yeah.
Like the
Well,
battle mode, I'm like, oh,
we got to make a point to do that, Drew.
That's right.
yeah, let's do it.
That's right.
Let's do it.
Well, guys, let's hit some of these notable releases before we get to the meat, the topic of the show. Hit some of these notable releases. Eric, you've already talked about the Fire Emblem Engage Fell Xenologue DLC, so we've already kind of covered that. Sounds like it was a little disappointing, but hey, if you have the expansion pass, it's there.
Yeah.
Play it. Why not?
If you already own the expansion pass, it's there. Go ahead. It's more content. Cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, all credit to Hello Games and the work that they've done on No Man's Sky since it's come out. They have more than earned back the goodwill that they lost with the way that game launched, but they are just still continuing to expand that game in ridiculously impressive ways. And this week alone saw the release of another massive update to No Man's Sky called No Man's Sky Interceptor, which added, like, honestly, too much for us to go into. Corrupted planets and new classes and all kinds of like multi-tool classes. They for those people who have VR, they added VR improvements, obviously a ton of bug fixes. Just honestly, just go and check on their blog. Go check nomansky.com. It's literally like 100 feet of website page. It's just another massive update. So if you're a No Man's Sky player, it probably took you 10 hours to download that update, but you're out there having a ton of fun with a bunch of new stuff. I'm just continually impressed with what they've done at Hello Games with No Man's Sky since that game has come out, and to the point where, like, it's almost overwhelming to try to even begin to think about starting that game. Really,
yeah, no.
I want to play it, but I know myself. I know that's one of those games that would just own my soul if I started it, but there's still such a massive part of me that still wants to play it, especially with everything they've added. It just looks so cool, and it just continues to look better. They just keep adding more and more and more stuff to it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
They sure
I'm
do.
I'm the same way. I looked at that when PSVR 2 came out, picked up that headset. It was on sale for about half price. I'm thinking, oh, that'll be a good game to pick up. And I'm looking at reviews and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's a bit too much there. I don't know. I just need to fly around space in some ways. But like, oh, I don't want to have to like put walls in and do my thing and make sure I got oxygen and oh god, full-time job.
Yeah. What I love about No Man's Sky, that has had like a in the All In Discord community. There's a game hub in there for No Man's Sky, and we've had like a small but passionate little collection of community members that just share like photos they've taken in space.
It's beautiful.
It's like, it's really wholesome. I really like the little kind of quiet No Man's Sky collective in our Discord. So I really like that. But I am an outside observer of No Man's Sky at this point. It's too far gone. I'm good.
Just looking through the glass, been like,
yeah,
they look like they're having fun.
Just
Exactly.
Like, go on without me, everybody.
Look at all those wonderful people I care about enjoying life.
I'm just happy for them. If you like
exactly,
it, man. But there's another big update that hit for TMNT, the Cowabunga collection. Again, another thing where they're just continuing to update that game. Online functionality on the Manhattan Project and a new gallery available in that game.
Yeah, I think it's a new fan art gallery, as a matter of fact, that they've added to the Cowabunga collection. In addition to this is the second game they've added online functionality to post-launch. There were already several games on the 13-game collection that had online functionality, including one of the versions of Tournament Fighters, a couple different versions of TMNT, Turtles in Time, I think even the original arcade game. But they've added online functionality to 2 games now since the game's release. And like the people over at Digital Eclipse, Stephen Frost, they get this. We've talked about them. When it came to re-releases and remakes, we gave our Golden Ace last year to the Atari 50 collection. deservedly so. As a matter of fact, I think we also nominated the Cowabunga collection. They just do amazing work over there at Digital Eclipse. So if you're a TMNT fan, you've probably already bought this, but you may not have realized that they added this functionality. So squad up, get the boys together.
That's right.
Get your crew together and go online with the Manhattan Project this weekend.
Nice. Well, we've also got is it Grimoire once more.
Yeah, Grimoire once more. Yeah, PS2 Cold Classic, kind of real-time strategy JRPG hybrid that from Vanillaware, same people that like Odin Sphere and stuff like that. Just another Cold Classic from them, just released. There's a demo out for Grimoire once more, so go ahead and check that out because it is a very different style of game. It is definitely an RPG that I could see a lot of people it really not being their thing, but there is a demo out there. Highly recommend checking that out. But if it is your thing, go ahead and pick up the full game. You get to relive this PS2 classic.
Nice. Wanted to highlight Curse of the Sea Rats, which has been in development for a while. This is a Metroidvania, kind of a colorful, cartoony kind of art style with pirate rats. Seems pretty cool to me.
Like Redwall or something?
Ish. It kind of reminds me of there's that, what's that Viking game? That 2D cartoony looking Viking game?
The Lost Vikings?
No. Oh God, no. What I'm blanking on the title of it, but there's a game that's kind of similar to this. But anyways, this looks pretty cool. Like, I like the art style of it. It's been in development for like a long time. It's definitely one that's on my radar. I kind of want to check it out. Definitely look up the trailer for it. Looks pretty cool. Curse of the Sea Rats.
Nice. Curse of the Sea Rats. But Seth, Drew, I got a question for you. Do you guys like Good Boys?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Good Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I really kind of want to check Paparazzi out. This new photo sim where you just walk around and take pictures of dogs. It looks so ridiculously wholesome and adorable and strange. I'm kind of here for it. So Paparazzi, also released this past week. Maybe check it out.
Yeah, man. They also, evidently, I had no idea this was even a thing. They put the seventh guest on Switch this week.
Yeah, they did.
Like, what? Okay. Classic PC kind of exploration puzzle game. I had no idea this was coming to Switch, but apparently it is.
So, yeah. There are a couple. You know, I don't know if the seventh guest is as classic a game as another game that also happened to shadow drop this past week on the Nintendo Switch, Seth. I mean, the all-time great, My Name is Mayo.
Yeah.
What's the point of it on Switch? There's no trophies.
I know. That was what I said.
What's the point of it?
I saw it. I just started laughing so hard. I was like, what is even the reason for this? Why are we, some people just want to watch the world burn, I suppose. I just saw that on the eShop. I was like, somebody lost a bet.
Oh, but could you imagine buying that on Switch? Because the whole thing about it on PlayStation, you just mash the X button.
Yeah.
And eventually you just unlock all the trophies within like 10 minutes, and it's an easy platinum trophy. But on Switch, you're just there mashing the B
no
button
reason.
or the A button, and and that's it. No trophies, no accomplishment, no. Well, it's dumb enough on PlayStation with trophies. Don't get me wrong, but there's not. Oh.
For those who've never played My Name is Mayo, literally all you do is you just tap a mayonnaise jar. You press the button and you tap this mayonnaise. It was entirely intended to be this absurdist meme, which it is, and it caught on because of how absurd and stupid it is. But I think the joke is well and truly over, but they somehow, some way got it approved for release on Nintendo Switch this past week. So...
Hey,
there's been a lot of these like really silly, easy platinum trophy games on PlayStation that have came over to Switch. There's like a lot of those tile games where you can easily like shift around the tiles to make the picture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those were just like quick 5-minute platinum trophies for PlayStation. But I've been seeing them pop up over the years on Switch, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
and it's sad because like I picked up a couple on Vita and PS4 back, a few years ago. Because every now and again, you sort of just want that easy, just sitting on the couch, dopamine hit.
Sure.
20 minutes, got the platinum trophy. Like, good for me, man. I'm a
I
video
did it.
gamer. Look at me. I'm accomplished. Look at my level. I'm a bronze level. I went up to silver because I tapped on this mayonnaise jar. I'm accomplished. But yeah, on Switch, it's like, well, there's nothing behind these games. They're not good. There's no reason for them. But hey, I guess there might be a kid out there. Might be a good app for maybe handing a Switch to a kid. All right, mate, just tap this mayonnaise jar until it's empty. All right. Don't you leave this room until that mayonnaise jar's empty.
That sounds like a supervillain origin story.
Yeah.
It does a little bit.
Get that.
That's what I should do with my son, actually. Get all these easy platinum trophies and be like, all right, son, this is your homework. I want 12 platinum trophies on my account before you go to bed. All right?
Just stick them in front of those clicker games, man. Yeah, I got nothing on this one, y'all. I don't know why this is coming to Switch. I don't know why you would get this on Switch. I want to shout out Batora Lost Haven, which came out. I played this during Steam Next Fest. If I'm being honest with you, I didn't really like it all that much. It was an interesting concept, but what I'm hopeful of is they did wind up delaying the game pretty significantly, because I played this like a year and a half ago, something like that. So I'm hopeful for the final release to hopefully be a lot more polished and stuff. So this is one I would be interested in checking out, seeing how the final release turned out. And then Road 96 Mile Zero came out this week, which is the Road 96 prequel game. Which is interesting. Road 96 is a really cool, unique kind of narrative game that I also played during a Steam Next Fest. You can see both of those videos here on the YouTube channel. And yeah, I'm interested in this one for sure. It's getting kind of middling reviews, which is unfortunate, but I'm interested in seeing how it turned out.
Nice.
So,
well, as with everything, we hope those games are good. We hope everything that comes out is good. Let us know if you guys are playing anything. Like, there's so much stuff that came out just in this past week that inexplicably decided to release the same week as the Super Mario Brothers movie. But let us know if you're checking any of it out. Reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter at All In Podcast, on YouTube. Here at All In, youtube.com/All In Podcast. If you're watching us live right now, go ahead and like and subscribe. Click the little bell and the icon and all that good stuff. Go ahead, branding. Like and follow us. Join our amazing Discord community. Join the House of Mario. Go ahead and follow our good friend Drew over at the House of Mario podcast. I hope you like the brand new episode of the House of Mario we're recording right now. But in addition to that, guys, we also have a Patreon that we think you should look at.
Yeah, of course. Patreon.com/allinpodcast. We appreciate your love and support, throwing a few bones our way over there. A lot of exclusive content that happens over there. We appreciate that. Get you discounts on our merch at the Triforce tier, bit.ly/allinmerch. You can check that out as well. And if you don't have any bones to throw away, that's okay too. You can drop us some words on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible completely for free, and I'll shout them out here on the show. I promise I'll do it. And then Spotify reviews, they're anonymous, but yeah, I'll do it. I swear I'll do it. But guys, let's get into. It's a threat, man. Let's talk about the Mario movie, y'all.
Yes, the main event. The main event. You ready for this, Drew?
I'm ready for this. I watched it. I have watched it. I'm not going to just go off the
assumptions,
off the reviews. So there was Mario in it. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Those people and those journalists for those organizations, they have thoughts, don't they? But
They sure do.
Yeah, they sure do. Not all of them, I would argue, are the most valid when it comes to this.
Fair.
But we have our own thoughts. Obviously, we're coming from the filter of people who podcast about Nintendo content, so we'd like to think that we are, fairly well deep into the audience that this movie was made for. So, what do we think about the brand new, decades-long journey that culminated this week with the release of Illumination's Super Mario Brothers movie. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about Super Mario Brothers movie. Drew, you have the unique distinction because you live in the future there in Australia. I was so jealous of you. I was awake on Tuesday night over here anyway. It was Tuesday night, and I saw your post on your YouTube channel that you had already watched it because you live in the future.
Yep.
And I guess I just want to like starting with you, Drew, kind of top level thoughts. We're gonna, again, I said it at the top of the show, but just to reiterate, we're gonna be spoiler free here with this conversation. There's a spoiler cast going live for our patrons that the patrons can get, and then people on YouTube will get later. But Drew, top level thoughts.
I just got notified, sorry, for
There it is.
the episode going on
Look
my
at
Apple
that.
Watch.
That's sleek right there, dude. I love
That's
that.
awesome. That's
The
awesome.
timing could not have been better for that. We did not
That's
plan that,
beautiful.
but God bless. I love it.
That beautiful all-in spade showing up on your smartwatch. That's gorgeous.
What's the time? Oh, it's all in time.
That's
for sure.
right.
That's amazing. But yeah, Drew, sitting there in the future, what do you have to tell about us peasants living in the past? What do you have to tell us about the Mario movie?
Oh God.
Oh, they're coming after you?
Sounds like someone's doing. Yeah, sounds like someone's coming after me in the future. Look out! Look out! The lizards have arrived.
They're out to get you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved the movie. It's no surprise coming from a Nintendo podcaster that they probably really liked the movie if they're a super huge Nintendo and Mario fan. It's just a love letter to everything Mario, and the way they were able to bring the Mario world to life was just like nothing else we've ever seen within the Mario universe. It was delightful. It was wonderful to go and see. And I went to the first screening at my local cinema, and it was just me to start off with. I was sat there 15 minutes early, got my popcorn, my large Coke, Maltesers ready to go, ready to watch the movie. And then I look out the door and I see a bunch of kids coming in, and literally a school rocked up to go and watch the Mario movie.
Oh, nice.
And at first I was like, oh, obviously I expect kids here, but a whole school? Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, are they going to be screaming the whole movie and whatever? But no, they were very well behaved. I was very impressed with the kids' behavior. And, I sound like a dad, but I guess I am a dad now.
Yeah.
So it's like, so very good kids. I'll buy you an ice cream once we get out the movie. But it was great. It really enhanced the movie, being able to just be in the cinema just with multiple generations of people, like small kids and other men my age and families, and there was another couple of parents with their two kids going to see it. It was just really nice, and just seeing how Nintendo IP just brings families and people from all generations together, which was just really special. And I cannot wait to experience that with my son and my family once they're older. But I think everybody in the cinema just really enjoyed it. My face was just grinning every moment of the movie, and there's some moments like it's not even like a sad moment, but like there's something happening on screen, and you're seeing whether it's a power up, and you're hearing the music from that particular game just swell, and it moves into the next moment, and you're like, my God! It's like, I always think about a moment from Mario Galaxy 2 when you're in the Sky Garden, and the music just kicks in as you're going from planet to planet, and I'm like, there's moments like that in every single Mario game, and this movie captured it. It's just it's really special, and I think like the reviews, I came out the movies like, that was great. I did my video and whatever, and saw on Twitter that another friend of mine gave it a 5 out of 10, and another in Rotten Tomatoes was like sitting at a 48% at the time. I was like, I was just genuinely like really surprised. And I don't go into movies with like big expectations, but with the Mario movie, the trailers looked great. I'm a huge Mario fan, so I'm like, I have a bit more expectation, but I typically just go in and enjoy myself, eat my popcorn or whatever, and go out. But I think this movie did a great job at capturing what makes Mario so special, It's just like it's music, it's atmosphere, it's just everything about it. But I can see from another person's perspective who just wants to go and watch a fun kids movie, and the parents sitting there and they've never played a Mario game in their life. They're not into video games. All they're watching is these cute characters bounce around, and Bowser, is doing his thing, and the story turns out like it does. And it's like, well, that was a kids movie that didn't have too many adult orientated jokes like Toy Story or other Pixar movies necessarily.
Mhm.
So I can see it from that way, and I think that's why it would have gotten the reviews that it did, because it's just like coming at it from I guess a non-gamer's perspective. So I can see why that is, but I also see a lot of like kids movies being reviewed poorly just from adults that don't get it.
Yeah.
And like I can imagine like a 40-year-old man just going to watch a kids movie. Like, what was that? That was a bit dumb. It's like, did you have kids with you? Like, I don't know, did you really go through the process of getting like, I don't know, the age group that it was sort of aimed at? So I found it a little bit strange because, yeah.
I didn't really feel the emotional heft of Peppa Pig's journey here.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Exactly. I watched Peppa Pig. I'm like, even as a kid, I didn't like Peppa Pig that much, but it's like me watching Peppa Pig and I'm like, it's a bit dumb. There's a pig. And the dad's in the mud. I guess that's a bit funny, but gets a bit of a chuckle out of me. But that's about it. But yeah, it's not aimed for me, and I think this movie is aimed. It is a kids movie trying to bring in a new age group into the Nintendo / Mario universe, but it's also for the adults like us who have been playing since the early days. I'm probably not as early as you guys, but I started with Mario World. I realized how that could have been pretty mean to say.
The gray hairs.
But yeah, I started with like Mario World and went back to all the other games and got a huge love for Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
Not so much love for Mario Sunshine, but I like it. And just even like all the stuff from like the RPGs and everything as well. There's everything sort of represented here, and it's just really nice to see. So just a absolutely beautiful movie. Can't wait to see it a second time. I'm jealous of Seth. He's seen it a couple of times. I was thinking about watching it a couple of times, but
yeah.
Oh, you've seen it twice too.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking about watching it twice in the same day, but yeah, might space it out a little bit.
I will say, when it comes to sharing the movie with kids, I had a really beautiful experience with this right before the second time I saw the movie, and it was I saw a family coming out of the movie in full cosplay, and I've seen several people go and see the movie in cosplay. This is just one of those movies that I think just kind of lends itself to that. But
totally.
Right before I went to go see the movie my second time, I saw this father come out with his 3 kids. 2 young boys, a young girl, which he was holding. He was dressed as Luigi. His kids were dressed as Mario, Toad, and Princess Peach, and he just had this massive smile on his face. All of his kids were super excited, like, "Oh my God, it was so good!" and just jumping around and running around his legs as they were walking toward their car, and it was just absolutely beautiful. He had this incredibly very fulfilled smile on his face, like he had clearly just shared something with his kids that he was passionate about, and they had wholeheartedly received it. And like, that was just such a beautiful, genuinely almost moved me to tears to see this family coming out of the movie. And I was like, regardless of what the Roger Eberts or the Gene Siskel's of the world say, that's what matters when it comes to this movie. That's why it was made. And that's why, regardless of what you think objectively the movie's quality is, that's what this movie allows for. And I think that is so incredible and so powerful, and circumvents any objective quality arguments basically about the movie that we could have. And I love that so much. There's so many people that I already have a special connection with this movie. The manager at the movie that I went to go see it actually handmade dolls. I posted this on Twitter, actually handmade Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach dolls, which she displayed at the theater, which honestly looks so good. I thought they were merchandise. But she made a few of those, and they look so good. But it's just, I love it so much. But going back to those people who are trying to I think, trying too hard to look at the movie from a quote unquote objective quality standpoint. I have to say, without hyperbole, I do think this might be the most fractured I've ever seen an audience versus the movie critics, essentially.
Yeah.
Because
Night and day.
it really is. It
Yeah.
really is. With when it comes to a lot of movies, I see, minus stuff like review bombing or something like that. I do see, at least, some agreement in the criticisms or the things that the movie's done well. But with this, it's like the critics are in one camp and it's like the audience is on a completely separate wavelength. And I genuinely don't think I've ever seen it to that degree with the Mario movie.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
It was a weird experience because for me, like, yeah, the movie has objective problems, sure. The movie has, like, it's pretty threadbare in terms of its plot structure.
Yeah.
The character motivation, characters meet and then they just, kind of move on. Things need more fleshing out. There could be more characterization, blah, blah, blah. I could sit here and go down objective bullet points about the movie. But, like, what I realized pretty quickly is that I don't care to dissect this movie objectively. I really don't. Like, that's really not, like, where I'm at with this movie. With this movie, this was all about to speak to the experience that you just mentioned, Eric, the people sharing this with their kids, getting to share this movie with my 3 young nephews who are being introduced to Mario really for the first time via this movie. They've played some of the games or whatever, but, like, I went to see that movie with my entire family and it was a generational thing. Growing up, my stepdad and I played Mario 64 Super Mario World together a lot. And so he was so excited for us to go and see this movie together. So to get to sit next to him in the theater and share that moment, when at the same time sharing the same moment with my little brother and my 3 young nephews, my mom, my wife, we're all sitting together sharing this movie together, and then, like, going out to eat afterwards, and the waitress gives my nephews the crayon and the coloring page and everything, and they're all just drawing Mario on the coloring page. And it's like all they can think about. They just want to go home and play the games. And I'm like, this is what it's all about, man. Like, this is what it's all about. And that to me is the power of Mario. It is this generational thing that means so much to so many different people. And, like, the least interesting thing I feel like I could do when watching this movie is talk about plot structures and the character motivations. I do not care. What this movie did for me, it was fun, breathlessly paced. It was beautiful to look at. It was beautiful sounding. The music is incredible. The amount of fan service and Easter eggs is unparalleled. I have never seen anything like it. And, like, I am so happy this movie exists. And just to see, like, the nexus point that this has created for Nintendo fans too, for people talking about this and to talk about Mario in a somewhat serious capacity, to have, like, this movie out that we can all sort of latch onto is really special, man. Like, I feel like this movie is going to be, like, a huge turning point for Nintendo fans. So.
Yeah, and I do want to make the point that you and I were a little concerned prior to the movie releasing about the plot, because obviously Nintendo, and specifically the Mario franchise in general, has never, like, plot and narrative depth has never really been Mario's calling card. When it comes to the core games, Bowser comes in, kidnaps the princess, game ensues until the end. So you and I had a couple conversations leading up to the release of the movie, like, narratively, what are they going to do with that? And the answer is not really too much, but I don't think they needed to when it came to this specific adaptation. Like, yes, it is, quote unquote, objectively a threadbare plot. And I did wonder about whether or not that was going to impact the potential creation of new fans, whether or not non-gamers, non-fans were going to be able to come into this and be fans and want to play Mario games by the end of it. But I think what this is doing is exactly what we've already said. This is giving our generation, the older generation, it's giving us the perfect way to pass that passion onto the next generation. That's what's creating the new fans in large part, I think. So a lot of people going to see this who have nothing to do, whose parents have nothing to do, who are going to see this completely as outsiders. I would like to hear a couple more perspectives from that. How many people came out of the movie wanting to experience more Mario stuff? But just in terms of entrenching the fans who have already been following Mario for decades and creating passionate new fans, I think this is just given, both sides a really great thing to kind of gather around the campfire with. Sure, we can play the games together, and those can be nice, long, drawn-out experiences. But this as just an explosion, this celebration of everything that we've loved up to this point just really feels like playing Mario for 30 years. This feels like just a 90-minute fanfare that we can just go enjoy. Like it's an achievement that we've unlocked as a fandom to go because of, all the Mario games we've beaten and all the princesses we've saved and everything like that. It just feels almost like our post-game bonus, essentially. And I'm more than happy to sit through it and experience it and just see all the wonderfully telling Easter eggs and cultivated references and everything like that. I noticed so many things on my second viewing, obviously, and you and I were talking about, Seth and Drew, I'm sure you cannot wait to get this into a version that you can have the pause button with.
Yes.
Yeah, in the cinema, I just wanted so badly about, what was that? No, that's going. Yeah, it's just an absolute assault on the senses, just especially in the cinema, and I think that's why it's so important that I want to go back and see it again. Just make most of it while it's on the big screen with the big surround sound and everything, and not just me sitting in my lounge room just with the speakers. But all right, cool. But yeah, man, just a tremendous movie. I think the only sort of criticism I've got for it personally on my own little review scale or whatever is just I found Bowser's motivations being just cringe, especially in like a a voice acted setting. It worked in one of the particular games. I actually forgot that it's in Mario Odyssey. Just I don't want to spoil too much, but in Mario Odyssey it's a similar motivation. I'm like, wait a minute, that was in the game too, but in the movie I'm like, oh, it felt weird. And I guess it was sort of reflected with like all the surrounding characters. They were like, this is weird, man. Like that, they were also reacting like that. So maybe that's what they were going for in some ways. But Jack Black, if it was played by anyone else, it would have been a little bit weirder. But I think Jack Black was able to make it funny in the way only Jack Black was able to do it. And I think just as far as the cast goes, can we all agree that well, I never said anything against Chris Pratt as far as but I think the internet owes Chris Pratt an apology.
I agree.
I would agree with that. I second that motion. Can we get a third, Seth?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought he actually kind of crushed it. Yeah.
Yeah. The motion is passed. Chris Pratt, you were officially apologized to from the internet. I think he did a fantastic job. Right at the beginning of the movie, they actually address the kind of like going full Mario style voice, the very cartoonish, it's a me, wahoo kind of thing. It was fantastic. It was perfect the way they addressed that at the beginning before kind of sliding into the more toned down approach that Chris Pratt gives for most of the movie. He does go full Mario a couple times, but for most part, I think I think he reaches basically the perfect tone for the presentation and for the characterization of this version of Mario. I think he did a really great job. I really do.
Yeah, it's shocking that a big actor is good at acting. It's shocking.
Yeah. It's way quieter than I was expecting. His performance as Mario, like it's not all that bombastic and in your face. It's kind of reserved, and for all of the complaints about characterization and stuff, without spoiling too much, I do really like Mario's characterization in this movie. I like the sort of idea that he and his brother are going out on a limb, following their dreams, starting up their own plumbing business, kind of risking it all for the plumbing business and everything, against everything else. Like, I really kind of like that. And I love the relationship between him and Luigi too. Like, just little tiny things that like I've never really like seen considered in Mario fiction before. Like how he calls him Lou and stuff like that. Like, I love that. Just like little tiny touches of them being brothers, and I love that. And like Charlie Day, I thought crushed it as Luigi. He's great.
Charlie Day and Anya Taylor-Joy, I don't think, a lot of people were concerned necessarily about Chris Pratt and potentially even Seth Rogen and Jack Black and how they were going to portray their characters.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody was ever really worried about Charlie Day and Anya Taylor-Joy. And because of that, I don't really hear them getting praised too much. But Charlie Day and Anya Taylor-Joy were pitch perfect as Luigi and as Princess Peach. They were both
amazing,
fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Peach was just a standout. Just going from the original Mario games, just the character you've got to try and save, and you get a peck on the cheek at the very end, to being like the standout, the main character, pretty much the main character, showing Mario through this world he's not familiar with.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
It makes. When I came out of the theater, I think a lot of people would have been like, all right, let's play a Mario game. Let's go back to Mario 64 or maybe Mario Odyssey on Switch. I was honestly like, maybe I should go and get Super Princess Peach on DS. Like that was the game I was thinking about. That's how good Peach was in the movie. Being empowered and the badass, and having like a bit of a backstory that we'll probably get in future movies, hopefully down the line. And it was just a sort of tremendous sort of showing for Peach, because it would have been a shame if especially with Bowser's motivations, like if Bowser was doing what he was doing, and then Peach was just like, oh god, what am I gonna do?
Right.
And it's like, that would have been even creepier.
Yeah, Peach was very proactive, very strong. It is weird, the fact that you bring up Super Princess Peach, because that game really has not aged well in retrospect in regards to Peach's characterization in that game. But
I've only dabbled in it a little bit. That was in the days when I couldn't buy games as willy-nilly as I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That made me think about going back to it and giving it
absolutely. I would love to see a new Princess Peach game based on, you know what? If we've talked about them doing a new 2D Mario game based on this movie, make Peach the main character as far as I'm concerned.
Heck, that. Yeah,
that'd be really cool. Legitimately really cool. And, since we're talking about the cast, Chris Pratt did a good job. Charlie Day and Anya Taylor-Joy were fantastic. They found a way. I'm not saying he was perfect, but they found a way to make just plain Seth Rogen, kind of work as Donkey Kong. Like I said, he's not perfect, but he worked a lot better than I thought he would.
I agree. That's exactly where I landed with it. Like, for me, the two characters I was most surprised was Peach. And again, I'm right there with you guys. I love Peach in this movie. She was my standout. She was my favorite. This is the best characterization we've ever had of Peach. This is the best Peach. Just like full stop.
Peaches.
That's right.
I don't know. She never baked a cake. Mario 64 Peach might have a little leg up.
No cake. I was a little surprised by that. Yeah.
Hey, that's in the next movie. Toad has to teach her how to cook. It's character development.
That's right. We have to go.
Fair enough. We got to get to the cake. Yeah, fair enough.
Got to have somewhere to go. Mario has this whole like hero's journey he's got to go on. Peach has to learn how to make a cake. It's a give and take there. But I loved her so much. And by the way, I'm so glad that this characterization exists for young girls. Like, I'm so glad
100%
that young girls can go and see Peach in this movie and have that as an anchoring point. It's so cool, so important, and I just love Peach so much in this movie.
I mean, like, even as men, we want to see strong women.
Yes,
we want to see strong women on the screen. Yeah,
I love it, dude. I love it so much.
And if you came out thinking that way, check out Super Mario Brothers 2 and Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah, Yeah,
Yes.
she's great in there too. But I just and then to go back to Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong though, yeah, coming into it, I was like whatever, and I didn't really, and I still don't really like how sort of flippant he is with like on the press tour, just like oh, I'm Seth Rogen, you're gonna get my voice, I'm not gonna do anything to it, blah blah blah, and that's fine, I guess. But it did make me come in with sort of furrowed brows, like all right, like let's see them shoehorn Seth Rogen into this. And I like Donkey Kong like way more than I thought I would. He actually has a much bigger role in the movie too than I thought he would. And yeah, I almost hate to admit how much I liked him.
Yeah. I loved Donkey Kong and Mario's relationship, especially when you know like the history of the Donkey Kong and obviously Jumpman and all like the franchise.
Yeah.
You know their adversaries to start off with. I loved how that developed along the course of the movie, which was really cool because I guess like you don't really you know that in like Donkey Kong that you're playing as a Jumpman or who will become Mario,
Right.
and you know that Donkey Kong's the bad guy, and eventually Donkey Kong as we know today, he's just like he's the big lovable ape who we play in the games and we can jump around in Mario Kart and have some fun with, and sort of across the course of the movie, you saw that development of the character go through like the stages of what he meant in video games, which is really cool. I don't know if I'm leaning too much into finding the meaning there, but that's personally what I got out of it.
No. I think that's good. I will say, as uniformly great as most of the cast is, I do think there is one standout when it comes to a vocal performance that I thought was kind of grating, and that was a different Kong who appears in the movie, who I thought just had a really weird delivery of most of their lines and was actually a little off-putting.
Yeah, Cranky. Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's Cranky's the one that a lot of people I think have sort of been like, kind of a miss there. And Fred Armisen, great actor, and
Yeah,
funny,
I like Fred Armisen.
Funny, great actor from SNL, of course, and a million other things, and total chameleon. Like he could have done a million different voices, which is why I sort of am inclined to think that like that probably was the direction they gave him. And I'm at odds with this with Cranky Kong because I don't really know like what I expected Cranky Kong to sound like. It just isn't this. Like it just doesn't feel right to my like head canon. On the Nintendo Drive, my co-host Locklith was talking about she thought it was Larry David who was doing and I was like, I actually kind of would have liked that if it were Larry David, that kind of cranky, old guy. But yeah, Fred Armisen is doing this kind of stuffy, like Jewish dad kind of thing, kind of vibe going on,
Yeah. It's interesting because it never took me out of the movie. I never even thought about it too much. To be honest, I never thought about what does Cranky Kong sound like, and then have no idea of what it's going to be in my head. But I think like the whole idea of Cranky Kong being like an old ape. I don't think he needed to sound like that particularly because he was still very energetic. His character was like really emotive and energetic and moving about, and obviously like in the section where he's a part of like the big action scene in the movie, so it's not like he's an old man just on the cane like, oh god, I can't move. Right. So I guess he still had that charismatic voice because he still was a leader. He still was the leader of the Kongs and all that, but he's just got a big grey beard, I guess, in a cane that he uses to smack people with. So it never took me out of it, but people saying it like yourself, Seth, I definitely understand where people's criticism's coming from, but I guess if that's one of the only criticisms, like I guess that's not too bad. I think
we're in good shape.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Mario's voice at least Chris Pratt got that down. It could have been a lot worse. Like, because we could have just been expecting Chris Pratt to sound like Chris Pratt, and he does a little bit, but he did enough to make it work. But
if Chris Pratt hadn't landed, I think many people's opinion of this movie would have been vastly different.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very happy for that at least. But you kind of glossed over something, Seth. But I want to give it its proper due. So many of the references and Easter eggs and nods and stuff in this game, it's all visual. Mm-hmm. So it helps that this movie is just absolutely stunning from a visual animation standpoint. It really is. It's absolutely stunning. Right up there with the best looking animation that I've ever seen. It really does. And I think that really helps sell a lot of the visual Easter eggs and a lot of the things that you and I are constantly darting our eyes around the screen looking for. The fact that everything is just so gosh darn pretty. Like the different landscapes and the vistas and just everything. When anything is on screen, it looks good. You can see the textures and the imperfections on the pipes. And oh my God, it's so wonderfully rendered. It is insane that we have come this far when it comes to computer animation.
Oh my gosh. It looks perfect. Like the way that they have realized, I cannot think visually of a better way to represent Mario and Mario's world in animation. Like, to me, this is peak. Like, it's perfect. I love all the character designs. I love the environments that we see, and there are quite a few different environments that we see throughout the course of the movie. And like it's just it is rendered beautifully, and even the way like things are framed and shot, and some of the like again, no spoilers, but there's some interesting set pieces that happen in this movie that are just like stunning. And we've all seen, like, for example, the Mario Kart Rainbow Road thing in the trailers. It's a beautiful scene, man. Like, just the way that all even looks and moves, and like this is like a super lovingly animated movie for sure.
100%. Like Rainbow Road, and like the section where like stuff happens and you're seeing bits of Rainbow Road fall in the water, and you're seeing the glow of the track just in the water and how it all looks. It looked absolutely stunning. It's I don't think I've ever bought a 4K Blu-ray in my life. Like, I've bought normal Blu-rays, but never a 4K Blu-ray. I'm 100% getting 4K Blu-ray
Totally.
day one. And I've only got a small 4K TV, mind you, but it'll still look good. I can't wait for it. Yeah, I think I had another sort of criticism just about the music that was played. Like, all the original music, amazing, but then it played like real songs, and that took me out, and I didn't think about it too much while I was actually watching it. It's just like it feels a little bit out of place, just hearing like these songs that I love, and it works well enough, but I prefer just the normal music. And I saw on Twitter that somebody must have been filming in the cinema, so they had a certain section where they replaced it with I think a song that wasn't used from the soundtrack on this particular scene. And it was just so much better. It just worked so much better. Sounds like you guys are familiar with what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this would have been better. Like it's a section that was a bit more bombastic and worked well, and it was a little bit strange with the song, but it was much better with like the music pulled from a particular game from that section. So I would have liked to see just more original music mixed from the games in the series, rather than just interspersing just its own soundtrack. But that was maybe a little bit of a shame. But they are making it for a mass market audience, and like we said earlier, if people aren't into Mario, they need some other touchstones with some other popular songs to maybe get them invested a little bit more. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure there was a reason why they did that. Miyamoto might just be a big fan of 80s rock. I'm not quite sure.
that maybe that's the case. I don't know, but yeah, to your point, there is a lot of gorgeous original music scored and remixed from the old Mario games. A couple sound cues that really hit me in the heartstrings. And I mean, you were talking about certain power-ups and certain musical cues happening, and when those happened, it was just a powerful moment. But yeah, throughout the course of the movie, they do use a surprising amount of licensed music. There's a pretty good one, admittedly, toward the beginning when we're getting Mario's and Luigi's backstory and where they come from. And there's admittedly a really good one that they use toward the beginning of the movie. But they do kind of, admittedly get increasingly jarring throughout the course of the movie when you have this gorgeous orchestral video game remix juxtaposed with these unaltered licensed songs. There were a couple times in the movie where they would play this orchestral remix theme to go along with, kind of the reference and the moment going on in the Mario, going on in the movie. And then they'd switch gears and go to a licensed song. And I'd be like, no, go back to what you were playing. Go back to that song. Go back to what that was.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It feels like studio meddling to me. Like it feels like, oh, we have to get, this licensed track in here, this licensed track in there. And yeah, like the I got pretty emotional, like lump in my throat 3 different times during this movie, and I won't spoil what they are, of course, but 2 of them were because of music. The music is like, so Brian, I think it's Brian Tyler is his name, the composer. It's a phenomenal soundtrack. The way they have woven in all of these different themes and pieces of music for Mario history is incredible and deserved more of the spotlight. I wish the entire movie was like that. Just the whole movie make it sound that way, Yeah.
So. I love it, man. It's so many things about this movie come together really well, but I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't love to see them go back and tweak just a couple things. And one of the big ones, obviously, has already become kind of famous on the internet over the past week, and that is the lack of proper accreditation, specifically for a couple of the songs used within the movie. Specifically, it's very famous that the DK rap is used at some point in the movie now, just because of the controversy surrounding Grant Kirkhope's lack of accreditation. I would absolutely love to see Grant Kirkhope properly credited for the use of the DK rap for as brief as it was used. It would be nice to see that. And if they're going to go in and tweak a couple things, maybe, reinsert that music into that one scene that Drew was talking about, guys. That does work better.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. And, these are kind of small things in the grand, and I get it. It's, to Drew's point earlier, I get that this is supposed to be mass market. This is supposed to be the kind of thing. And a lot of these are kind of like mid to late 80s hits. A lot of these very, very intentionally going for that kind of like, this is the music that was on the radio when the game was coming out originally, right? So it's supposed to be nostalgic. They want to get the moms and dads tapping their toes. I get it. I understand why they went with it, but
But I mean, ultimately, I want to see it another 10 more times.
Yeah, man.
I really do. I have never in my life actually gone to see the same movie twice in the same day in a movie theater, and I came a hair's breadth away from doing just that with Mario. I came out of it the first time, and I very nearly turned right back around and went to go see it a second time right then and there. I since have seen it again, but this was just this is going to be a special movie, especially for people like us. If you're listening to this Nintendo podcast, this movie was made for you, with you in mind.
100%. Yeah, it's like you said about going straight back in. It is kind of like a ride, really. It's just like I said, an assault on the senses. You're just sitting there taking it all in. Like, wow, that was awesome, and you want to go back on. You want to go back up the roller coaster, and you want to experience that adrenaline rush again. And it's just I'm glad it turned out as well as it did, because God, it would have been so sad if we had to sit here and be like, it wasn't.
Yeah, if we were just sitting here like,
jeez, they made it for people that never played Mario in their life, and it sort of missed both marks. But no, it was glad that we can sort of say that it was that it's really made for Mario fans, which Jesus Christ, we are, aren't we? We like a little bit too much. I don't know, a little bit too much.
I don't arguably, definitely. I do feel bad. I do feel bad for the people that weren't able to enjoy it themselves. A lot of the critics out there that clearly not only have no clue about the history of Mario, but really don't seem to have a finger on the pulse or have any clue about really even about the audience that it was made for. We shared on Twitter, we shared a review of the movie that said in an attempt to be derogatory, they said the movie had all the charm of an unplugged Game Boy.
Everyone's just like, that sounds awesome. I love the Game Boy.
Well,
they meant it to be a derogatory term, clearly having no clue that a Game Boy was meant to be played unplugged. But that I think is a good portrait of people really not having a clue, not really being completely detached from the audience that this movie was made for. I'm sorry that you weren't able to enjoy it, but I am kind of disappointed that you're the person who's trying to tell people that they won't enjoy it. I hope if you're looking toward reviews, I hope if you're looking toward people's opinions of anything, you're looking toward people that are like-minded for you. So, I hope that reviewer also speaks to 80-year-old people who don't like fun.
I feel like, this is such a movie for this movie was made for two people. It was made for people like us, the fans, and it was made for our kids or the kids in our lives. That's it. That's all this movie cares to appeal to. It cares to appeal to this movie has got a target audience. It is not for critics. It is not for, and I understand too, like if I were like some kind of journalist writer for the Huffington Post or whatever, needing to come in here and examine this thing with a fine-tooth comb and, appeal to my readers who are looking for Oscar bait or whatever, like I get it. It is a difficult task to review a movie like this from an objective standpoint. But like I said at the top, I just don't care to. This movie was made for me, and it was made for the people in my life, and so I loved it, and I'm happy it exists. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but honestly, if you're even on the fence about it, I would argue, yes, this is from the filter of somebody who does a Nintendo podcast, but I would argue the performances in the movie are objectively good. I would argue that the music, especially the original music in the movie, is objectively great, and I would argue that the movie itself looks objectively amazing.
Yeah.
If you don't resonate with a threadbare plot and admittedly a kind of tropey hero fish out of water story, if you feel like you've seen that one too many times, I get that. I get that. But even after multiple viewings, I would argue there is a lot of objectively good stuff here, even for the average moviegoer who isn't a Mario superfan. And I am so happy for all of the new fans this has created and for all of those fathers out there who are able to share this passion with their families. All the mothers and fathers, for everybody, for the grandparents, for the aunts, for the uncles, for the Uncle Randys out there who are able to share. For everybody who's out there who's able to finally have a way, maybe this is, it's like, hey, brother, hey, sister, hey, mom, hey, dad, maybe this will help you understand why I love this stuff a little bit more. Maybe it's even allowing stuff for that. And that's why I think this movie is going to be so special for so many of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground here. I feel like we could sit here and chat all night for us anyway, all morning, I guess, for Drew or afternoon at this point. I feel like we've covered a lot in terms of the spoiler-free capacity, but Drew, do you have any final thoughts before you wrap up?
I think the movie was fantastic. I can't wait to watch it again, and I hope we get more of them. I can share them with my son once he gets older. And
yes,
if he doesn't like it, well, he's got them on Blu-ray to watch anyway.
May try to have another son. Be like, this one didn't work out.
Again. I'll try again. You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah. Better luck next time.
Yeah. So, you can't get them all. You can't get them all.
But Drew, we want to thank you so much for joining us. This is by far the longest we've ever had a guest on this show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us all night long and chatting with the Super Mario Brothers movie with us. So glad to hear you loved it so much. Make sure to point people your way again.
Yeah, you can find me at the House of Mario. I'm usually sat there playing some games, doing some things, hanging out with my good friend Reggie, Doug Bowser. Just all the bigger poncho boys at Nintendo. So they're usually there with me. So you can find me on Twitter and YouTube and that Adeyed Ruby. So go and check me out there. But boys, I cannot thank you enough for having me on the show, especially like a big episode like this. Talk about Mario. It's been so much fun. I love your work. I love what you guys do. Follow Seth and a lot of his projects he does around the place. And it was great talking to you, Eric. Really nice hearing about the fighting games and everything you're passionate about, and being able to just sit with some big Mario fans and just talk about the movie. It was just absolutely fantastic. It's just been something I've been wanting to get off my chest because my wife, she doesn't care about Mario whatsoever. I tell you what,
Makes
there's a
it
couple
rough.
of times when my mum found out I had the day off and went to the movies to watch the Mario movie. She's like, "How's the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, good." She's like, "Oh yeah." And that was it. That was my Mario discussion. So this was nice to get it off my chest. So yeah, absolutely love your work, boys. Thank you so much. And everybody who's listening to this, go and support them on Patreon if you haven't already. I've been there for a few months and absolutely love the content there. $2 Hero Cast is really great. I love sitting down and just listening to Seth put his
Ramble.
thoughts out there. And yes, the rambling. You know, rambling makes great podcasting. You know,
Yeah.
at least you're rambling. It's not just like, I got no thoughts. That can be work.
It happens.
And I love the topics you guys come up with as well, whether it's non-Nintendo or whatever have you. So go and check out the Patreon. Fantastic work. And looking forward to hearing more, guys. So thank you very much.
My gosh.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like you said, we've got a Patreon. Check us out at All In Podcast on Facebook, on Twitter. He basically did most of my
I was gonna say
he's branding
plugging,
for us.
We asked him to plug himself. He's plugging us, guys. Support the House of Mario on Patreon. Check out the exclusive content that Drew does over there. He does an exclusive podcast with Josh from Nintendvania, we shouted out earlier. Another great podcast. And
some good GBA content coming up apparently.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You do awesome work, Drew, and we love everything that you do. Again, links to Drew's stuff are in the description. We really appreciate your time for coming on. We
love your theme song.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. The first time, we should share this story. The first time Drew and I ever chatted, he DM'd me and he's like, "Hey, just discovered your podcast, really liking it, listening to it from episode 1. Fun fact, we used the same theme song." And I was like, "What? Like, what is this?" And that was the whole impetus. Like, we probably would have just continued using that same theme song if it weren't for realizing that. So it was a funny thing.
Yeah. So, but
your theme song is just amazing now. So, just props to that. But yeah, that was funny because I'm just like going around Twitter. I want more Nintendo podcasts in my feed because obviously I like Nintendo quite a bit, and it'd just be nice to see what what other people are doing, for own ideas and things like that. And just like listening to you guys, these guys sound good. Like yeah. But then like it felt so like when you sit down editing your own show, you like put in the theme song, make it do your own thing.
Yeah.
And your voices come in, like doing that. Then it just comes up in this, but whoa! It's just
like, wait,
felt
what?
So strange. But
That was so funny, man. I genuinely, I'd never had that experience before, and it definitely made us feel like we were like, well, we need to prioritize getting like our own theme song, and but it was cool. It was cool for 100 episodes anyway. We shared a little bit of space with the House of Mario, a little bit of connective DNA, some blood brothers with the House of Mario for a little while there.
part of the same cult.
Yeah.
The Mario cult.
Yeah.
Cult of
Nintendo
Mario.
cult.
There you go.
Yeah.
But once again, guys, huge thank you to Drew for hanging out with us tonight. Make sure to support him. Do please, if you can support us as well. Go out and check check out the Mario movie. We fully endorse it. Let us know what your thoughts on the Super Mario Brothers movie are. A ton of our Discord community is already doing it. We've got an incredible, very lively discussion about the Super Mario Brothers movie going on in the Discord right now. And some interesting takes on some of the Easter eggs and some of the symbology and some of the references and meaning behind things that I think you guys might be surprised by. If I do say so myself, I have I have a pretty interesting take on something particularly important that happens in the movie. Maybe you should check out the movie and our spoiler chat in our Discord for that. Plug, plug, plug.
Yeah.
Aren't I clever?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for our big, huge Super Mario Brothers blowout. Seth, how do we end this show? This is kind of a weird.
It's a weird one, right? And I want to point people one last time too to the spoiler cast that Eric and I recorded. If you want to hear, we talked about top level spoiler free stuff, but Eric and I did a full spoiler cast. Patrons, even at the $1 level, even if you just go in there for $1, you get early access to the spoiler cast. And that hit literally live while we were doing this. It hit Drew's watch here live as we were recording.
You got the buzz.
That's right. Drew got the buzz, and you guys can check that out right now. Early access is available to that, and you're gonna have to wait a few more days until next week to get it for free here on YouTube. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys. Next week is gonna be interesting. We have the games don't stop coming, Eric.
We got the Mario. I can't stop thinking about Mario. We've got the Mega Man Battle Network collection coming out this next week, which I'm super excited for. That Indie Fighting Game Fest, which I was talking about. So yeah, the Nintendo goodness doesn't stop. Probably going to go see the Mario movie another time this weekend. I'm sure you guys probably are as well. Let us know if any of you out there are seeing it. Share your pictures. If you guys are going in cosplay, share your pictures of your Mario movie experience with us. We'd love to see them. But until next week, guys, we don't have special names, so I guess I've just been Eric this time.
That's right. And I've been Seth, and you've been Drew.
I've been the drill doodly Drew.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. Thanks, guys. If you're still watching here live on YouTube, leave us that like and subscribe before you go. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you all next week. We love you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.